Hey guys, it's Bray here at Blossom and Branch Farm, and today I have a new cut flower garden plan for you. We are also going to be giving you layout and a cover crop plan. Let's go. Not everything here in this plan has to be started inside in case you're worried about that. And if you don't have room for seed starting, remember to pop over to our direct sow garden plan. That'll help you out if you don't have room for indoor seed starting. So this bed that we are going to be talking about today is going to be a cool flower bed. I like to think about growing in terms of, are my crops cool season or are they warm season? And the reason for that is because it helps me plan my cover crop. If I have all of them growing together in the same bed, it complicates things when I am thinking about, okay, when am I going to plant my cover crop, which is, in my opinion, really important to the ongoing performance of your garden. If you haven't already taken our cover cropping class, I would highly recommend you do that. It comes with a printout of all different types of cover crop seeds, etc., etc. I'm going to be showing on the screen a picture of what this is going to look like. Now, again, I mentioned that these are cold tolerant crops, so that means you're going to want to get going on these right away. I am in zone 5-6 and I am starting all of these seeds here in the upcoming couple of weeks, so get ordering now. So first I'll start by sketching out our garden. Now, remember, for all of these plans, I like to assume that we have a 4 by 8 foot bed, and that is just because it is a very standard size for a raised bed, especially if you're using wood. Here we have our 4 foot length on this side, our 8 foot length here. Here's our midway point. These marks are going to be each representing 1 foot. So we have 1 foot, 2 foot, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then same thing going this way. I go halfway, and then there we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you like to, you can go ahead and draw lines. This is how I like to lay out my beds. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 feet going that way, and then I'll go in the other way. All right, so as you can see, like these ones over here are smaller, but it's okay. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going this way. Now for the purposes of this plan, we're gonna say that this bed is oriented north to south. And you could adjust this plan based on where your north-south orientation is. But in general, we're going to want our sweet peas on the north end. So for the example of this one, let's say that our bed is oriented so that this way is north and obviously this is south over here. Again, I mentioned that we are planting these out before our last frost. These are cold tolerant plants. So for me, that means usually I'm planting around 6 weeks before last frost. That's give or take a couple of weeks depending on what the weather looks like. If it looks like it's going to be warm, I might even be able to go a little bit earlier. And if it looks like we're getting a big storm and it's going to be cold, then I can do it a little bit later, maybe 3 to 4 weeks before my last frost. Not at last frost, that will be too late for a lot of these. They really prefer to be cold planted. This is Willow. This is our new little addition to the farm. Say hi, Willow. She's been enjoying bird watching out the window and eating seedlings. So I mentioned that we're starting early. So again, when you're looking at starting dates, I'm going to give you a general guideline for how long these are going to take from seed start to planting date in order from the ones you're going to need to start first up until the ones you can start last. So bear in mind, your planting date is before last frost, not after, not at last frost, before. So for me, I would recommend you start the sweet peas first. That's because they are the most tolerant of cold of all of these. I have a whole video I already posted about how to grow those, so just pop back over and watch that video, but you need to know that they need darkness to germinate, and you're going to want to grow them cold and as bright as you can. You could even start them up to 16 weeks before your last frost. You're going to be doing about 10 sweet peas for this plan. So I would start more than that. For all of these, I would start more than you're going to need because you know how seeds are. Sometimes they fail, sometimes they don't make it all the way through, sometimes your cat eats them, things happen. For varieties of sweet peas, you could really choose any variety you want. We talked about in our video on sweet peas, different ones for lengths. You could go for a Spencer, tend to have longer stems, but really I would focus more on a color palette. Make yourself a little vision board, pick out the colors that you want. If you want whites or blues or pinks, put them all together before you order them and see how they look. So we're gonna start by placing our sweet peas. So for the sweet peas, I'm going to recommend you build a twig trellis, and it's going to be a little PTP. So we're just gonna put 5 sticks in the ground and we're gonna circle it with twine, and our sweet peas will be climbing that. So we have one of those here. We have another one here. So those are basically taping up this back fourth of the garden. We have our 2 teepees here. Now the next one that you're going to be starting earliest is your violas. So violas traditionally are really not thought of as a cut flower, and that's because they tend to be smaller bedding plants. They tend to be a little bit shorter, but that does not necessarily mean that you can't use them for cuts. We do use them for cuts here at the farm, and they also make a nice ground cover. So they are cute in little petite jam jars. For Easter, they're very sweet. We do sometimes get enough length out of them, and in this plan that we'll get to at the end, we actually put them underneath the sweet pea trellises so that they would get a little bit more length, because they'll be getting a little bit of shade, especially as the temperatures warm up and the things to the south of them get a little bit taller. They will be getting a little bit more shade, which is what we want. The more the merrier. You can pack them in very tightly. I'm probably going to be starting about 100 violas. You don't have to start that many, but I am starting a lot. And if you want to see how we start a lot of things, remember we have our videos about how we grow in soil blocks to help conserve space. So I can grow 80 violas in a soil block tray this big. They stay in the mini soil blocks until I plant them out. Now violas need darkness to germinate as well. So just like sweet peas, make sure that you're covering them up with a solid dome or put them in a dark room, a dark closet for germination, totally dark. So our violas we're going to be planting out about 6 weeks before last frost as well. On the ground, in between all of these, I mentioned that we're going to put our violas in here, and that's because they like a little bit of shade. They like some cool temperatures. So they're on this north side and they're gonna be all scattered in here. Now those violas you can plant really tightly and closely together. Spacing of about maybe 2 inches even would be great. So bear that in mind. Those can be planted really tightly in here. So we've got all of those. Now Snapdragons are the ones we're going to be wanting to plant early with our violas and our sweet peas. So Snapdragons take longer, in my opinion, than often is recommended on the packet. So we'll often see 8 weeks recommended. I find 10 to 12 weeks for Snapdragons is what we need from seed to transplant stage. You have lots of different color options with your Snapdragons. So you could do, for my shades, I am going to use Apple Blossom, which is Potomac variety. You could use Chantilly because this is an early cutting garden. Cold tolerant, that means you could use a group 1 or 2 Snapdragon, which tend to be more cold tolerant, versus the groups 3 and 4 snaps, which tend to be more heat tolerant. If you have a small garden and you want a range of shades, then I would choose maybe a couple different varieties. So another one that I really like are the Madame Butterfly. Madame Butterfly come in a lot of different shades. They're very ruffly, very pretty, and also cold tolerant. Snapdragons we're going to want to pinch. Snapdragons are going to branch out if we give them a nice pinch, so make sure that you're giving them a pinch and then you'll get multiple stems. Again, can be planted out 4 to 6 weeks before last frost, so get going on those. The next tallest one is going to be our snaps here and our Oria here. And we're going to take this 6 square feet here, and this is going to be our snaps. That looks like it says shaps. Okay, snaps. All right, so for snaps, we have a spacing that I like to do, again, tighter than what is standard recommendation, because I find that we can just fit more in than they usually say. Remember that we are pinching snaps, so they can get a little bit bushy, so we are going to do 9 per square foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 times 6 of these, that means we are going to be doing 54 snaps total. Again, start more than that because you never know what's going to happen, but that's about 1 packet worth. All right, next up, we're going to do our Oria. So Oria, some may call it Orlea. Oria is a beautiful white filler. It is very dense and prolific. They get quite bushy, especially if we plant them out early. Also very cold tolerant, lots of white stems. So we're going to take this 6 square feet here, and this is going to be our Oria. And here's our spacing for our Oria. I mentioned that you can do either 1 or 2. If you're going to do 1 per square foot, you're going to put it right here in the center. I think that spacing is going to be a little bit lighter than what I want, so I'm going to actually do 2 per square feet. So I'm staggering. You can see how I'm going to offset these. So I'm going to do the next one the same. And then here, and here, here, and here, here, and here, here, and here. So that's where my Oria is going to be. Now, if they start getting very, very bushy, I can always trim them off here so that they don't start suffocating out my snaps. But I'd rather have them a little bit bushier, personally. Then the last ones that we're going to be doing that are the fastest growing are the stalk. So the stalk is the last one we're going to be starting inside. And for stalk, I prefer the iron mix. I find they get really nice and full, they get tall. And stalk, you are going to not pinch, do not pinch the iron variety of stalk, because one stem, one seedling equals one flower. So make sure you're not pinching your stalk, or else you'll be pinching off your flower. And we can plant them more densely. So when we get to our layout, I'll show you that. They are pretty quick growing because we're not giving them a pinch. They're going to grow relatively quickly. So we're going to want to plant a bunch of those. There is a way to select the double stalk. So there's double and single. The single stalk tends to be wider in spacing, not as ruffly petals. And then there's double stalk, which have the ruffly petals and denser flower spacing. If you know you want the doubles, you can select for that at seedling stage by only growing out the ones that have separated leaves. Johnny's on their website, has a great guide to how to grow stalk and how to select for doubles. I'm just gonna refer you over to that instead of me going through it. Just go and click on it if that's something you wanna do. This is where that stalk is going to go. So these square feet, these 6 square feet here are going to be our stalk. Stalk, we're going to plant very tightly. What you need to know is I'm doing 16 per square feet. So I'm going 4 in each direction. That might seem very, very tight to you, but trust me, you can really pack these in. In fact, I have grown these all the way to bloom in a seed tray, in one of our wooden seed trays, quite tightly. Again, they don't take up much room. They grow pretty much straight up and down. So our stalk is really crammed in here. 96 stalk, so that's about 1 packet. Lacy Phacelia, which is the last one that I mentioned, which is a direct sow. So Lacy Phacelia is a great filler pollinator plant. It is a light purple and it is native to my zone. It's also very drought tolerant. So that we can direct sow. So this one back here is easy because all we're gonna do in here is we're going to scatter direct sow our Lacy Phacelia. So you can do this by hand, or you could make a little shaker out of like a salt shaker and sprinkle them onto the ground. I usually just do it by hand. You're gonna direct sow these at the same time you're planting all of this. So about 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost, you're gonna be sprinkling your Lacy Phacelia seed into this section here. Now with Lacy Phacelia, you're not gonna wanna let it go to seed because it will reseed into your garden and it can reseed quite readily and heavily. So make sure that you're cutting it before it goes to seed if you don't want it to go to seed. Again, once these are all done, and if some of these are done earlier, so say our stalk is done earlier, if you don't want to cover crop, you can skip that. Just because I'm telling you that you can cover crop doesn't mean you have to. You could skip the cover crop and go right into the direct sow garden plan with the zinnias and the sunflowers. You could do cosmos directly into here. So even though you can clear this out, if you wanted to clear it out a little bit early, say early July, you could clear this out and go right into the direct sow garden plan and start your zinnias. And then that way, if you want to skip the cover crop, you can, but you get 2 successions of cut flowers in here. Now, the great thing about this plan is that, again, they are all cold producing. So we talk a lot about regenerative gardening here and including cover cropping in your production plans, and this is a great way to do this. So all of these plants, once the temperatures get very hot, these plants are going to peter out. You can cut them all down and then cover crop. So this is how we kind of talk about rotating these cover crops in and out of our garden. After this, you can select a cover crop from our cover crop class, depending on what your goals are for your soil. So for example, let's say we're gonna choose one that is going to be fairly easy to terminate, then we would go with an oats, peas, buckwheat mix. So we would sow our oats, peas, and buckwheat directly, and maybe we could add in a crimson clover or whatever. It depends on what you want, right, for your soil and how you're gonna terminate it, remember. So we're going to sow that into the garden after we've cut everything down. So don't feel bad about cutting things down. They're not summer producers. They're not late summer producers. These guys really do better in the early summer, and then it's better to just cut them down. Cover crop it. Don't let things continue to bloom because you have little straggling bloomers. It's better to just cut it down and cover crop. So we're cover cropping this space, and then we're gonna be either terminating it heading into winter, depending on what stage it's at. If you are in a growing climate like me and you put in a cover crop in August, then you will probably be terminating it manually because we want to cut it down before it goes to seed, right? So we'll probably be terminating it manually, and then you'll have your mulch in place for winter. Now, in our follow-up plan that's coming up next, we're going to be talking about the opposite version of this. So we will be talking about a warm season producing bed. So if you have two raised beds, a 4x8 and a 4x8, one is going to be dedicated to cool season producers, the other one to late summer producers, and then we'll be cover cropping it in its off season. Hope that makes sense. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. It means a lot to us here at the farm, and we'll see you guys around here next time.